you very much, sir. So, the topic of my lecture is today applications of wavelength dispersive X-ray fluorescence spectrometry during fuel fabrication. Before I start my lecture, I would like to pay homage to our the chief guest of our last New Fook 2018, Shri Dr. A.K. Bahaduri sir, and we have a great loss to our DA fraternity. So, the layout of my talk is like introduction and whatever applications we are dealing with the XRF during fuel fabrication, I will try to incorporate for the determination of uranium and plutonium in uranium plutonium oxide mixed oxide fuel during using XRF. Second application is the determination of plutonium in the clean rejected oxide, again using XRF, and direct non-destructive determination of uranium in sintered DDO2 fuel pellets using WDXRF. So presently, fuel fabrication facility is fabricating MOX fuel. Basically, it has two composition, 21% and 28%. 21% and 28% PO2 along with the DDO2 for the PFBR reactor. As far as chemical quality control is concerned, for the determination of uranium and plutonium heavy metal content, that quality of the fuel should be as per the which has been laid down by the designer. That we have to take care. So as I proceed further, I would like to mention here that how this mixed oxide fuel has been fabricated. This uranium oxide and plutonium oxide has been mixed in the iterator, then pre-compaction, granulation and final compaction has been done, and after the sintering, all these are the process flow sheet of this MOX fuel fabrication, and these are our chemical quality control steps. And right now, because of we have developed our WDXRF technique, and we have implemented also in the plant scale. So at the 3 stages, we have replaced the existing techniques with the WDXRF. So these are the various chemical quality control steps during fabrication of PFBR MOX fuel. First one is the determination of plutonium oxide percentage in the mixed blends, that is the mixing and milling, and the determination of uranium and plutonium in sintered MOX fuel pellets, and determination of plutonium percent in the clean rejected oxide MOX powder. And these are the other dissolution tests, O/M ratio, metallic impurity and non-metallic impurity determination. So determination of uranium and plutonium can be done with the both way. One is the destructive method and one is the non-destructive method. For the destructive method, we are following titrimetric method, and we have developed for the non-destructive determination WDXRF. So actually, why non-destructive method is required? At our plant, we are struggling with the analyzing the samples for the uranium and plutonium. We are generating so much of our nuclear waste and alpha bearing waste, and it is very much burden to the plant. Then how to handle it, all this liquid waste. So we have to have think that why can't we go for the determination of uranium plutonium at par with the titrimetric method. So these are some shortcomings of our titrimetric method. Let us suppose that analysis time is 11 to 12 hours. And and then the sample preparation, skilled persons require 3 to 4, and around 250 ml of alpha bearing waste has been generated during the titration, and lots of our corrosive acid has been used. So our plant has decided we have to use non-destructive method for the determination of uranium and plutonium. So whatever WDXRF we are using, these are some of the parameters of XRF we are using of 200 watt capacity. And as you know that uranium plutonium is a radiotoxic in the nature, so we have to have handle inside the glow boxes. So we have made adaptable our WDXRF spectrometer inside the glow boxes here, and for making the sample, we have installed a hydraulic press inside also for the sample preparation. So it is a very clear step how to determine uranium and plutonium directly in the sintered pellet. So first of all, we have to have prepared the calibration standards, and then we have to make a calibration plot, and we have made a collet where we have put it our pellet and directly analyzing the samples, and of course results using the calibration plot. So as I have already earlier mentioned, the composition of the fuel is 21% PO2 and 28% PO2. So accordingly, we have made working standards as per the samples we are receiving. So once here I am telling it is this uh, lower composition MOX fuel, and for the 28% I am telling it is higher composition MOX fuel. So for the standard preparation, we have to have first of all we have prepared a master standards, and we have 20 grams of the one sample mixed with the DDO2 as per the standard I have already shown in the slide, and mixed with our polyethylene glycol and put it in the aluminum cup and press with the sample hydraulic press with having 25 ton of capacity for 1 minute. This is the means parameter for the hydraulic press. This is the typical photographs of the calibration standards we have made for our analysis of uranium and plutonium in the sintered pellet. This is the calibration plots. Though actually it is our main application, whatever during sintering, we are getting the MOX pellet in the form of sintered pellet of diameter 5.6 to 5.7 mm of the length 7 mm. This is here. So we are having a collet. We are just inserting these pellets inside this hole, and just using this wing nut, we are tightening the samples, and we are putting this collet along with the samples in a sample holder. This is our sample holder of size 44 mm. The cutout is 40 mm. So we have to have this collet type of things so that it can withhold with the sample holder, so that our sample should not fall in the spectrometer. So after we are just sending our sample holder along with the sample in the spectrometer for the analysis of the, or for the getting the uranium and plutonium all alpha intensity. So it is a typical WDXRF spectrogram of sintered MOX pellet. Here you can see it is the peak of uranium to L alpha, or it is the peak of plutonium L alpha, and the angle of the 2 theta is the 226.13 for the uranium, and for the plutonium is 24.89. So whenever I go for a means replacing a method, we have to have very much sure that whatever we are determining with our non-destructive developed method, it should have the comparatively good value as with our existing titrimetric method. So we have compared whatever samples we have analyzed, we have compared the results with the titrimetric method, and we have found that none of the samples is going beyond the specification limit. Here you can see that the red one is the titrimetric value, and the green black one is the XRF value, and these are the upper and lower limit of our specification. So none of the our results, whatever we are get from the XRF, is not violating with the specifications. It is with the higher composition 28% MOX fuel. Here also we are not getting any single value outside our limiting value, specification value. So if you see the comparatives to the titrimetric method and XRF method, it is very clear that using titrimetric we are using 11 to 12 hours, and we have reduced to an hour only analysis time, and no sample preparation, skilled person only 2, no leakage waste generation, nothing corrosive acidity, nothing. And this is the very good actually for what our MOX fuel fabrication plant requires. It is for, let us suppose 170 number of samples have been analyzed. Suppose it has been analyzed with the titrimetric method, so we could have generate 45 liters of liquid waste, alpha waste. But using WDXRF, we are generating as such no, means directly we are analyzing our product only, and after analyzing product, we are sending back for the fabrication line. So we are generating no liquid waste. And here you can see, after the analysis of this sample pellets, it can we have said around 1.6 kg of MOX powder also, and it has been used again in the fabrication line for encapsulation of that fuel pellet, which has been analyzed by the XRF, and it has been encapsulated in the pin, and we have made approximately 7 number of spins extra. So if titrimetric method we have used, so we have lost 7 number of spins we are losing. But with the use of XRF, we have fabricated 7 more number of fuel. So that's why such type of techniques, if it has been implemented at the plant scale, it is very much required. At second application, as I have told that, it has been again when we have got good upon reliability in our the samples. It has been implemented in the determination of plutonium in the CRO and DRO. Actually, what is CRO? During the fuel fabrication, certain types of waste has been generated. It is CRO, clean rejected oxide, and dirty rejected oxides. What is actually clean rejected oxide? Because of sintering, sometimes because we are having some chips of means we are not getting the density. Pellets are perfectly okay, but because of some physical defects, it has been rejected. So that type of waste is called as clean rejected oxides. But when these clean rejected oxides has been reprocessed at our plant, it has been mixed with the various batches. So when these batches has been mixed, we do not have the isotopic composition of each batch because it has been mixed. So at the time of fabrication, we are determining the percentage of in the CRO with the NWCC technique, neutral well coincidence counting technique, which is basically depends upon the isotopic composition. But in the CRO, we do not know what is the isotopic composition and all. Suppose agar we have to do the plutonium percent determination in the CRO, then again we have to do the analysis of the isotopic with using the TIMS. So here again we have used our calibration standards. Why don't we go directly for the analysis of the CRO powder using the WDXRF with the existing calibration standards? And we have analyzed the samples, and this is the typical WDXRF spectrogram of the 21% MOX powder. This is for 28%. And here you can see that we have compared the values we are getting with the NWCC method, the titrating method, and the XRF method. Here you can see very clearly that our values are very much matching with our titrating method. So here again we can say we do not need any isotopic composition for the analysis of the plutonium in the clean rejected oxide. And this also we have implemented in our plant, and we are routinely analyzing the samples of CRO using WDXRF. Other important applications of during fabrication is the direct determination of uranium in sinter deeply depleted uranium oxide, and of course we have also developed a technique for the determination of uranium and thorium in the ASWR fuel, and we have standardized all these things. Suppose the task given to us, we can directly analyzing the samples in the thoria-based fuel with the non-destructive method. As you know, that for the determination of thorium using dissolution itself a very big task because of single oxidation state. So where we can use this WDXRF method. So there are so much applications we have developed at our plant. So this is a conclusive summary. A complete non-destructive direct WDXRF method can be used for the uranium and plutonium determination in MOX fuel. The method has comparable analytical parameters with the titrating method. It is a very fast sample analysis, almost no sample preparation, non-destructive, no wastage of sample, avoiding laborious this dissolution of acid and all these steps. And due to the complete non-destructive analysis, the sintered MOX fuel pellet could be used directly for their encapsulation inside the fuel bin. These are the publications we have got published during this program, and thank you for your kind attention.
Not completing within time. You can have to quick questions.
Ji sir. Yes sir, it can be done with the EDXRF also, but we have to have for the EDXRF or WDXRF, we have to have the calibration standard should be very perfect. If you are not having the calibration standard to the range, the accuracy and precision you require, you will not get the results. Like when we have prepared the synthetic sample or working standard for making the analysis in the direct sample analysis, we have theoretically prepared the samples with our weighing basis. After that, we have characterized that plutonium and uranium using the existing titrating method, and we have used that practical or experimental value using the calibration plot. That's why we are able to get the good results. Thank you.
You are telling this method as non-destructive testing,
Yes, sir.
but you are preparing sample and you are pressing the pellets, and that cannot be used again to fabrication of pin. Then why you are calling it non-destructive?
Can I get my slide? Actually, sir, it's only for making the calibration standards and which can be used for the years. Only 5 calibration standards we have made using the aluminum cup. Almost it can be recovered also by back pressing the aluminum cup. And right now what I am telling, I am not making any sample preparation. I am not doing any sample preparation because whatever the product during fabrication we are getting sintered fuel pellet, I am directly analyzing that. I am not making this powder again and making this using the hydraulic press and all. It is used only for the calibration stand. That 5 pellets I have shown to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy that
Yes.
is also used for element analysis. Could you comment upon that?
Yes, sir. Laser induced breakdown spectroscopy. Our FCD of BRC Mumbai is working very nicely, and they have reported this thorium and uranium analysis using this LIPS techniques. They have.
How do you compare your XRF with the LIP?
As far as this LIPS and XRF in this XRF is concerned, LIPS is some type of means you have to again means break over the samples or you have to.
That I understand. Means, I am saying when now you have done practically BRC LIPS is being done and you have done a XRF.
Yes.
Now at the end, what is the conclusion? Which one is better, or could you comment upon that?
Actually, both the techniques have their advantages and disadvantages. As far as my application is concerned, WDXRF is better than LIPS. And because we have achieved that much of accuracy and precision after round robin test and all. And this technique has been approved by the specification committee of the IG car, and after that only it has been implemented. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, yes, sir. Actually, I have seen one of the BRC report in the published in 1994, and I have seen that at the reprocessing plant they have they have actually proposed that such type of XRF systems should be directly should be installed during the online reprocessing of all your cells, cell 1 and cell 2 and all, so that you need not to do all this getting the sample and doing the coulometry and all this stuff. You can directly analyze the sample in line of your cell also. And definitely if I am getting the results because of my calibration standard accuracy and precision, I am getting the results. If you can make the sample of your own interest, means good accuracy and precision in the calibration standard, and of course it can be done. It is my personal opinion. Actually, for this XRF, I have observed that if you do this ratio analysis, uranium by Pu or Pu by uranium intensity, so when it is perfectly for the year it is constant. But if you go for the only uranium alpha intensity or plutonium alpha intensity, you measure today and tomorrow it will be fluctuated. But if you go for the intensity ratio, it is perfectly stable. I have personally carried out experimentally for the month of the same sample. I am getting again the same and same result for the second digit, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey.
Thank you, sir.
Now I request session chair to present the moment to speak.